Welcome back to Guru Chronicles with your host, Soul Guru, ready to take you on another journey. So thank you for coming back and joining us. We are into relationships, talking about cultivating very deep friendships, good friendships, lifelong friendships, and hopefully leading to a level of covenant or marriage more so. There's an ultimate level of commitment. So that's where we are. I discussed a few segments that were for the ladies, a few segments for the men, and 2 for the men, 3 for the ladies, and I have another piece I will probably be doing for the men off and on. But I kind of get inspired based on conversations and experiences that I have currently that reminds me of things that I'm aware of and certain information that's come across in my coming and going in life and everything. So at any rate, as I think about relationships, I want to talk about some things that we seem to ignore for the large number of failing relationships we have, even friendships, opposite gendered friendships. And I want to start off with number one, do not ignore the red flags. Do not ignore the red flags you see. A red flag is a common term used for something to notice, something for you to take sight of, to take notice of, something that you should observe carefully. In sports, a red flag, or I know in football they throw a flag. It's a yellow flag. In some other sports it might be another color. But the point is, it is a sign of a violation. It is a sign of something that should not take place, or something that is somewhat awkward or goes against the rules of the game. And so a red flag for us with social skills and interactions, a red flag is something a person does that catches your attention, and it's not positive, it's negative. It's something that raises concern for you. Because you feel a certain way about that person, don't ignore it. Guys, the same thing. Don't ignore it just because you're feeling her. She may be the finest chick you've ever dated, or she may have the best frame you've ever seen and all that. If you see a red flag, my advice is you deal with it. You deal with the red flag. You acknowledge it. You recognize it's there. And the best way to deal with it is you ask questions about it. For instance, if you are with a lady and you all have gone out several times and you both are somewhat feeling each other, you have a good vibe, there's a good energy between you, and let's say she starts, you notice in her conversation when you first started dating, she talks a lot about brand name and she talks a lot about shopping. She may talk a lot about labeling and certain types of heels and certain things and what her girlfriends have and what their boyfriends are doing for them. You just kind of notice it's becoming a trend. If that becomes a red flag for you, during the course of the conversation, say, hey, are material things really important to you? Just cut to the chase and just ask. 9 times out of 10, she may stop, she may get insulted, but you just honestly want to ask, say, hey, do you really feel strongly about gifts and material things and like clothes and stuff like that? Whatever you're thinking, ask in a tactful way and wait for her to answer. Ladies, if you notice he's making advances and sexual innuendos, he's constantly addressing how beautiful you are and I would love to see you in a bathing suit. Or if either way the conversation gets to a point where he shoots a red flag, you stop and ask. I know sex is important for men, but is that something that you're looking to jump into with me right away? Just go ahead and ask. Ask, deal with it. Ask the questions and see how they respond. See if more red flags come out of their response. If they're able to answer you, that's a good sign. If they're not and they stumble, that's not a good sign. If they get angry with you, that's a red flag. Why are you getting offended? And the whole goal for us to meet and to go out and talk is to get to know each other. Okay, so establish that up front. I hope those examples were real enough for you to relate to. Another thing is dealing with argument and disagreements. You're going to have those. You're opposite genders. You think differently. But one thing that gets in the way of disagreements and arguments is pride. Never allow your pride to conclude the relationship, to conclude the evening. Don't allow pride to get in. Pride is when your ego and your self-persona supersedes your emotions and raises up so much, you're not going to give that person the satisfaction. In other words, you're going to shut down all levels of good communication. You're going to shut down emotionally. You're going to have a hint of anger in there, and you're going to have this I don't deserve this attitude. And then you're not going to communicate your needs. And what happens, what pride will have you do is not communicate. So it'll have you wanting the person to think of what you want. People can't read each other's minds. You have to be with a person a long time to know how they think. And so for ladies, you'll think he should apologize or he should know what to say. No, you need to tell him. Guys, you may want her to do something or to act a certain way or to say something or to apologize. She may not know that she offended you. She may not know that. So when you're arguing and you're discussing things and you disagree, there's a way to do it. Usually, be upfront and be honest. Let's say you're talking about the issue of abortion. And let's say the person you're talking to, let's say that they are pro-choice. And in that moment when you're talking, they may have a reason for family or something like that. And you say, well, I disagree with that. I'm actually pro-life. And here are my reasons why. I really think life is precious and this and that. And you give them their reasons. You can say, I disagree. You don't, oh man, that's messed up. You don't create a scene and get all out of line with the person. You take in their information. Whatever you don't receive, you take that back and you recite it back to them the way you see it and see if they understand where you're coming from. And with disagreements, you may have to get to a point where you just say, hey, you know what? I see that we see that differently. Maybe as we continue to grow together, maybe we'll come to an agreement on that. It's okay to disagree at times and to be okay with that, as long as you know and respect where each other stand. But inevitably, you will have to get on one accord with that particular topic or situation. That also addresses with expressing disagreement and falling out. If the disagreement gets so heated, one of you may have to remove yourself. You may have to walk away if if comments start getting real sharp. You might have to remove yourself, but whoever removes themselves or decides to shut down first, this is the guru's personal experience in my opinion. I personally think that person should be responsible for making sure you re-engage in conversation. And I say that because you cut it off without telling the person, but you did it with your body language, and then you leave the conversation undone. So I think it's only right and mature that the person comes back and makes things right. For instance, my wife and I may have a disagreement. When we first got married, she put ketchup in the refrigerator. I thought it belonged in the cabinet. I thought it was room temperature. She said, no, it goes in the refrigerator. We went back and forth 2 or 3 rounds. I said, why am I arguing with you about this? I said, I ain't got nothing to say about it. So I left the kitchen. So she comes around the bedroom, kind of filling me out. You know how you do. You go fill the person out and see if they're still upset. And this time I failed that test because she started talking to me and I got convicted. In spite of me getting upset, she still made an effort to say, hey, we don't agree, but I'm still okay with you. And I felt that was important. That ministered to me. It brought something to me and said, wow, that was very womanly of her. And that challenged my manhood, that made me want to man up and say, I should have led in that area. So guys, a lot of times when it comes to that, we should lead in that area. Not that women can't. I'm glad my wife took the lead in that particular situation. I just think in most of the situations, she shouldn't have to. I should be the man and man up in that area, whether I'm right or wrong. I should re-engage in the conversation, especially if it gets heated. One thing, I think I must break off at this point. I have one more point. I'm going to save it for the next video. So you're just going to have to tune in and check it out. But my last point for this is don't attempt to control the relationship. Do not attempt to control a relationship. When you attempt to control a relationship, that's where we all fail. We throw in expectation. We throw in these false sense of standards, unrealistic expectations, and it doesn't work. The only thing you can control in a relationship is your response within the relationship. And that's what you have to focus on. How do I respond to this person that's beginning to mean a lot to me? How do I respond to what she says and what she does? How do I respond to him when he may say something that offends me? What's the best way for me to deal with this at this moment? And so the more both people work on their response towards one another, the healthier the relationship gets. The more honest you are in how you respond, the better. Even if it hurts, you can get over hurt, but you can't. It's hard to get over when you're damaged. And damage comes through dysfunction and a lack of communication. Once you're damaged, it's very hard for a person to be mended. Sometimes people don't want to be mended. They end up being stuck in that misery and that discomfort of the hurt they experienced. You don't have to do that, okay? So make sure that you don't attempt to control the relationship, but control your response within the relationship. Next thing I'm going to talk about is being present and how to be engaged in the relationship. I was going to add that in this one, but no, I'm going to stop filling up all this stuff, start leading on to the next one. So being present and engaged will be on the next one. That's what we're going to discuss. I hope this helps, because life, so many things go on. So many times we're tested, and many times we go through. But if you watch this video and you feel what I'm saying, make sure you stay tuned in weekly to the Soul Guru. I'm out.